23C or 1254 is now called the State of Texas versus Christopher Caleb Watson, who is here with Mr. Adams, his attorney, and state's attorney is here. Does the defendant waive formal reading of the indictment and the arraignment here? Can we proceed in summary?
Yes, sir.
In summary, this indictment alleges that on or about April 25th, 2023 in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed a state jail felony of burglary of a building. Do you understand what your charges are?
Yes, sir.
If convicted of a state jail felony like this, you face confinement in the state jail for any term of not less than 180 days or more than 2 years. In addition, a fine may be assessed not to exceed $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
An agreement's been reached where you would be pleading guilty and sentenced to 18 months in the state jail. Restitution is ordered in the amount of $600. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, sir.
If I follow this agreement, you have no right of appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
How are you going to pay the restitution?
I don't know.
How are you going to pay the restitution? They need to get, well, that their plan needs to be in place before I accept the deal. I mean, I don't have to take this deal. The victims want their money back for the loss.
I didn't pitch restitution.
How you going to, sir?
I didn't pitch restitution, so you just came from you. Restitution.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to take a deal if you don't have the money to pay it. You can just sit it out for 2 years.
Judge.
No, that's what the people want. The
No,
people want to
Judge,
pay-
hang on.
You're going to get them.
What is the restitution for?
It's
What's it for?
Hang on. You broke the front door glass.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably for that. That looks like what the damage is. And it could be that nut, you know, if it's a big door. It's all glass. But it's not a debate. It's, they put in for they said they're owed $600. And I deal with the people. They're just not defendants in the trial. You got victims.
Yes.
And victims have a say. There's a loss. And we're going to try to accommodate them when they are lost, on a loss. People will say, why are they making a deal? And I'm out the money. What did they do to get a deal? And I have to deal with those directly, sir.
For you.
Sir.
For you.
Sir.
Oh, what's your judgment on the case?
It's 600. You're going to have to pay $600. I'm not going to take the deal, sir.
600 is not days.
Sir. I'm sorry. What you said?
600 is not days. It's money.
600. Okay, fine. That I understand that. I don't have to take a deal.
So I
So we'll just put it on the trial docket, and when it gets around to getting ready for trial, we'll try. That's what we'll do.
I don't know what restitution is.
Restitution is payment for loss,
Oh,
and the people say they lost $600 worth of something, and it's apparently the glass that was broken when you burglarized the building. I don't see any other loss, but that has to get paid.
but it was lost.
$600 was, and they're going to say, "Why did he get a deal?" If we're
He
out the
didn't get a
money,
deal. He didn't get one.
sir.
He didn't get a deal. He
Sir.
got a deal canceled. His deal got canceled.
Yeah,
All
you can
right.
serve 2 years is what the law says. You can serve up to 2 years. And that's, and a deal, and a plea agreement, look it up. There's no right under law for that. There is no right under law. And you're looking at up to 2 years. That's what the law states. And I don't have to accept it. It's a privilege that's trying to move cases. But if the people say we need our restitution back, they're going to get accommodated. It's not right. If I was injured and they got a deal, well, that's nice. Where's my $600? There's no way you can find that money. There's no way somebody can help you with that?
No, you don't give that chance. You don't give that kind of chance. You're gonna let me out of jail. I was gonna get the restitution money, and then we just weren't gonna do that because there was
No, this
restitution
wasn't a
money,
probation.
and now I'm not gonna do it.
This wasn't a probation.
So 6 more months then, 6 more months.
This wasn't a probation.
Over 600.
Okay. No, we just said for trial. That's all. I didn't know. Thank you.
You gotta know how to decide something, Judge. You gotta decide something. You can't.
Sir, I'm
the
sorry.
decision making.
I'm sorry. You don't make the rules in this courtroom.
No, I make decisions. That's
The law
why I
does.
make decisions.
The law does. The law says you have a right to a trial and we will accommodate that. We'll set it for trial. Thank you.
200 days.
200 more days?
And that's what we've got to deal with, I guess. Just under 2 years. I got this.
Well, that's 20 minutes of our life we'll never have back. Okay, Mr. Cover, that's you. And you were charged with 2 state jail felonies. As you know, it's publishing intimate visual matter and theft of property. And Mr. Kindler here has been representing you. How long has this man been in jail?
157 days. He has a parole hold, Judge.
He has and he also has a parole hold, yeah. What is the defendant's criminal history?
It's very extensive, Your Honor. So it's
What is that?
if he's revoked on parole, I believe he was sentenced to around, I don't know, 78 years or something like that. It was a very large number. So if he's revoked on his parole,
For what? What was the sentence?
there was,
I don't have,
there's a whole.
there's no prior convictions at all in these indictments, in these 2 indictments. He's just charged with state jail felonies. That's all it shows. Which is, 2 years. There's no enhancement.
And there hasn't been a notice of enhancement filed.
What?
Oh, he's got escape, I believe. He's got aggravated robbery.
Okay. Well, is there any restitution on these 2 cases? It was theft, I would think would be the only one that would be possible, 2232. And how much time did you say?
He's been in jail 557 days.
There is restitution, Your Honor. I think it was around $8,000 is what the victim was
Do
claiming.
you have any way of ever paying that back if you were ordered to? Yeah, I mean, you're in custody. You don't have 8,000 handy, do you?
No, you don't. I've worked. This here is really, I can.
If you were released from these 2 cases, are you going to have to go serve?
No, sir, my parole's been continued already. I went through the preliminary hearing, and these are the charges that are holding my parole up.
In Your Honor, there, I spoke to
What
the parole officer, and they're actually waiting for the disposition of these. So if he is
Yeah.
on these with the kiosk text that I have about him bragging about certain things and saying, I think his parole will most likely it'll be revoked and he'll be sentenced back to finish out that sentence, which was how many years?
I got 115
There
years.
you
I
go.
come off parole in April of 2101. I got locked up in 1985. I haven't had a charge since 1995.
See,
And this is
that's a
coming
long
from
shot,
my
I think, for them
ex-fiance.
for this. For either of these 2 cases, I don't see them revoked. But I'm not the person who makes the
I
choice.
just seen parole the day before Friday. Again.
I think the purpose of Mr. Cover wanting to come over was to advise the court in seeking pro se representation.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
It's,
Man,
this
that's
is
that's
my
always.
ex-fiance.
Hold on. And you're certainly entitled to do that. I've only been doing this for 40 some odd years, and it just self-representation, especially when you have prior convictions. There's that always has in the past worked out catastrophic for a defendant. Yeah, but hey, it's free will. Humans are grown-ups, and you can do your, do what you think you need to do. But what's odd is this, these two cases generally are not the kind that are tried. These things get resolved. I don't understand, why are we trying this? I know because he wants a trial, I guess, but is it just,
I think
I
the
mean-
parole issue, Your Honor.
okay, so what about it that prevents this from being resolved in ways that, I mean, he says, have you worked all your life when you've been in the free world?
Yes.
Well, he's not going to pay it back in prison, but if he's put on something, and if he is released on parole, then there would be a chance that these people could get something on restitution.
I think that's the issue. I think we would have agreed to potentially probation on one of them. I think the issue is he believes he'll be revoked on parole. I have sent the kiosk message to the parole officer in which he describes them as weak mother effers. They gave me parole. My first thought was these weak mother effers gave me parole. He's basically saying I never should have been paroled for all these different things I've done. And
Well, but
I think he believes he's going to be
defendants
revoked.
always have,
His parole is going to be revoked. That's what
the
he
inmates always have a different opinion, but others make the decisions, but they're entitled to be heard and make a statement on their behalf. But how much weight that carries, parole people and like the court or juries, at the end of the day, everybody who goes to trial is pleading not guilty. But we have, most of the cases are found guilty in spite of that. But that doesn't stop people. They have a right to plead. What I'm saying is, this is unusual that he's sitting in there for 2 state jail felonies when it seems like when there's other authorities that are trying to resolve their matters with him. Why are we, why isn't there something that's reached? Because truly, if you want to set it for trial, I'm sorry, it's going to be a long way before we get around to it. But isn't there some way it can get resolved?
We've tried, Your Honor. The state's tried, and I don't believe the defense wants to. My understanding, he didn't want to accept our offer.
Okay, well, which was what?
They got offered probation initially.
Defer?
I can't remember. I'll have to look and see. I don't know.
Did you offer him defer?
I think it was
Not found guilty.
It was.
It was. It was not.
It was 2/5.
Something burned.
No, this plug isn't working, Judge.
It was a regular probate.
Yes,
But
sir.
you're not sold on that though, huh? The word is also an option too, right?
They could drop it to a there's a lot of things that are an option, that's what they're gonna do. They could drop it to misdemeanors if they wanted to. Which would, in the normal case, would keep you from having his parole revoked, but I don't know, based upon what the state.
What do you add? What do you want to do? You've written all these letters because I seldom get all of these letters. You're spending a lot of time doing this. What is it you want?
All right. And I'm not guilty. There is no crime. There is none. This is my ex-fiance. When we split one way or the other, that she filed these charges because the parole officer asked her to. Now, he brought up parole. I said that. I said, when I first made parole, I thought the system was weak, but he didn't read the rest. I thought that I got an opportunity and a chance. When I made parole, I've been locked up for 38 years. I've never had a driver's license, never had a bank account. I've never done nothing. But since I've been out, I've walked down a year on a monitor. I made every visit to the parole office, every home visit, passed every UA. My parole officer and my advocate, the one that pressed these charges, got crosswise. And then when I went to my preliminary hearing, they falsified state documents. I pointed it out. That's
Who's
why
they?
my parole was
Who's
continued.
they?
That's why the parole,
Who's-
Don Allen and Tom Garrett.
All right.
That's why,
Okay,
that's
What
why
does that have
he
to-
keeps bringing it up.
Stop.
Exactly. That's why he.
hold on. All of that parole stuff. I don't know much about that because I'm not involved in that part of it. What I am involved in is you have 2 indictments
Right.
that were filed in December a year ago, a little over a year ago. And the grand jury indicted you on these 2 cases. That's all I'm worried about.
All right.
All that other stuff,
Okay.
that's your,
Yes, sir.
you can argue with in the mirror all day long, but
Right.
there's nothing, I don't have control over parole.
If I might interject here, the state
I just want to
has,
move these 2
the state
cases.
has introduced the fact of parole in this case. I will say that based on my discussions with Mr. Clover, there appears to be a personal relationship between his parole officer and the alleged victim. And I do have the parole officer subpoenaed as a fact witness in the case. So there is some connection between the alleged victim and parole system here. That Mr. Clover is not just off
You mean
base.
in the theft case or both? In both? Okay, I see. The same person is the victim in each case.
Correct.
Okay.
And then there's a relationship
Okay.
between the alleged victim and the parole officer. Yeah, I do have the parole officer under subpoena. I think
Okay.
Mr. Covers advised me that he does want to proceed pro se, so in the event that it goes to trial and Mr. Cover wants the presence of the parole officer in court, then there's going to have to be a way for the parole
Okay.
officer to be notified to be here.
The next step. I see you want to proceed pro se, is that right? Do you know what that means?
Yes, sir, I do. I've been in jail 18 months.
What does that have to
This is
do
my
with-
first time in here.
We're electing to go pro se. I mean, he's a,
Because I know I'm gonna fight for I'm not guilty of this, and I know I'm gonna fight to prove I'm not guilty.
Have you represented yourself before in official proceedings?
Yes, I have.
Tell the court when you represented yourself.
I represented myself when I got 40 years for escape.
How'd that work out?
I mean, well, it didn't work out too good, but at least I know I'm going to try. There's no
I don't
charges
understand.
here.
I don't understand. Were you retained or appointed on this?
Retained.
You retained?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Are you saying he's not vigorously an advocate for you?
I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Well,
I know him and we've tried 600 jury trials here. 600. I know who's vigorous and who's not.
I wouldn't.
All right.
I wouldn't-
You want to represent yourself? You've been experienced in that? Good. We'll let you represent yourself and you can do it.
It was also.
It has never,
And
in
he does-
600 trials and 45 years in this business, that's never been successful, but you might be the first one.
He's also advised that you don't want standby counsel. Is what I'm saying. You want to just.
I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty of this. So the state.
You're right now,
can't prove I'm
you're presumed innocent. I wrote the lead article on that. You presumed innocent. Don't dictate to me, okay?
guilty. I'm
You're presumed
entering my
innocent.
plea
And what is it? You're presumed innocent. What's next?
Until proven. guilty.
You're wrong. Unless
Unless
proven
proven
guilty.
guilty.
Unless, not until, unless. There's some things you don't know.
Yes, sir, a lot.
But he's advised too that he doesn't want standby counsel. So
Okay.
I was prepared to act as standby.
That's
counsel,
not a
but he had-
problem. We'll deal
Okay,
with,
as well.
we can deal with Mr. Cover and we can get this probably as best. I don't see sending this one over to drug court though. I think maybe I need to have it bad. That's correct. But it'll be set as soon as possible. Okay,
Thank you.
Mr.
And
Cover?
I think I have filed motions for speeding trial as well.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
started the right to speeding trial.
Okay. How many witnesses do you presume? So I can kind of figure out how much time we want to.
Yeah, I'd probably think about 7 witnesses. I don't think it'll take very long, though. Maybe a day and a half, 2 days. I think.
What about you?
There's going to need to be some mechanism for him to get the parole officer in the court.
I can put that in there and have the parole
And I
officer.
had 3 witnesses.
Now, I know there was 2 parole
You're gonna
officers.
have to figure that out. You're gonna represent yourself. If they're not here, if they're not done correctly, we move forward. That's the way it is. You have to know the procedures. You're insisting on representing yourself. If you don't do it right, you don't get what you want. And that's, but it's like every lawyer who comes in here, they're held accountable to doing the right thing procedurally. So,
What I'm
you
saying
just need to be,
is I
ready
said
to
in
do it
jail, what's
correctly.
gonna happen. I didn't know nothing. I didn't
I,
hear nothing.
look,
nothing.
every,
All right,
sir,
thank you.
you know, we're gonna,
Thank you.
we're gonna get your day and you insist on it. And that's, you're entitled to that. And it's just everybody in here says they're not guilty, but
Mhm.
95% of them end up being found guilty. I'm just, so don't talk about it, just do it.
Okay.
And you'll have, we're gonna let you have an opportunity, but you're gonna have to be accountable to the procedures, knowing the procedures, you know, and how to do it right. I mean, I helped write the rules of evidence, so you gotta know how to do it right. That's why lawyers, I always say, you know, I know you wanna represent yourself, but lawyers come in handy.
I don't have that.
All right,
Thank you.
you've thought about it long and hard and you wanna represent yourself, though. That's your final answer after talking about it.
What I want.
No, that's yes or no.
Okay, yes.
Okay, you got it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. All right. All right, Mr. Cover, we're gonna get to you. Truly, it'll be quicker than you think, okay? We're going to try to get you here. Yes. No, just stand by, just to be on the safe side. I know he doesn't, but you don't know after the first witness whether he might change his mind or not. Because it'll.
I'll sit there and he's saying I won't.
I know, but you know,
I'm gonna be motionless.
I think the man is wise enough in certain things to realize if things are not headed in his direction very quickly, and I don't want him to sit, then we'll have to stop and get a lawyer.
He's gonna object to me, so I'll sit.
Yeah, you yeah. We'll work it out where he's satisfied. Okay, dispositions.